Hey, everybody, we are going to talk dividend stocks today. Um, I am a big believer in dividend investing, even if you're a younger investor and you have a long ways till retirement, things like that. I own a lot of dividend stocks in my portfolio. I've been a dividend investor for a long time. I'm 42 years old right now, but I've been buying dividend stocks since I was in my 20s. I believe in the compounding power of dividends over the long term has the ability to beat the market. So we're going to talk about some of my biggest dividend stocks and why I like them. Before we dive in, please take a minute and check out the link you see on your screen, fool.com/Frankel. Get a message from my sponsor, The Motley Fool. It's the best way to support this work I'm doing on YouTube. Again, fool.com/Frankel. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So I'm going to talk about the 5 highest paying dividend stocks I own. So I own about 45 stocks total in my portfolio, and that includes ETFs, index funds. And of them, about 29 of them pay a dividend right now. The yields range from about 0.2% to 7.2%. Now, there are a lot of higher paying dividend stocks in the market. A lot of them are very popular. I don't own any real, mega dividend stocks. I look for dividend stocks that have a lot of total return potential, meaning potential to grow the business and the stock price over the long run, in addition to paying a dividend yield that can be reinvested into my position and used to buy more shares over time. So I, let me go ahead, and this is in kind of in order from greatest to least. So the highest paying dividend stock I own is one that I've talked about a lot. It's EPR Properties. Ticker symbol is EPR, 7.2% dividend yield, and it pays monthly, by the way. EPR Properties is a real estate investment trust. They own a portfolio of what they call experiential properties, that are properties occupied by businesses that primarily sell experiences, not things. The biggest type of property is movie theaters, which is admittedly the biggest risk factor involved in the stock right now. They're doing a great job of reducing their exposure to movie theaters and focusing on the top theaters in their portfolio, but that's a big risk right now. They also own a lot of great properties. Top Golf is their number two tenant. They have a lot of, they call those eat and play businesses. They own some ski resorts. Vail Resorts is a tenant of theirs. They own the real estate for some of Vail's properties. They own water parks. They own hotels. They own a lot of experiential properties. And it's a really interesting business that I think is going to do well over the next few years. The second highest paying stock I own is called Outfront Media, ticker symbol OUT. And you might not think of billboards as real estate, but this is a real estate investment trust. They have a 6.6% yield right now, and they are a leader in what they call out of home advertising. They're not just a billboard business, although that's their biggest segment. They own billboards, and they also specialize in transit system advertising. If you've ever seen one of the ads in the New York subway or the DC Metro, chances are Outfront put them there. Um, so really interesting business. It's not a one of the more kind of trendy forms of advertising you would think of, things like streaming video ads and podcast ads and things like that. But it is a really interesting form of advertising because it's really the only type of ad that people have to look at. If you're sitting on the subway, you can't like click away an ad that's on the wall. So it's a great way for advertisers to get their message in front of people. Um, and it's rebounded a lot since the COVID pandemic. Obviously, those years were not great for the ad business, especially out of home advertising when people were stuck in their homes. And then the market kind of dried up in 2022, even after the pandemic, when inflation soared and we thought we were like on the cusp of a recession. The stock market was in a bear market, but the businesses started to rebound nicely. Shareholders have already been nicely rewarded, and this is one that I am going to keep for the long run. It's one of the picks that I was, what made me look kind of silly at first, but now it looks like it's doing really, really well. Um, Number three is called Vici Properties, VICI. They were a spinoff from Caesars Entertainment a few years ago. They have a 5.4% dividend yield. They are the largest gaming real estate owner in the world. They are the largest landowner on the Las Vegas Strip. They own some of the most iconic properties. They own the real estate for Caesar's Palace, um, the Venetian, MGM Grand. There's a whole list of Las Vegas Strip properties that they own. Some of the biggest regional gaming assets, they own the Borgata in Atlantic City, not the business, the real estate. They own MGM National Harbor. Really interesting business because these are great tenants, first of all. Their tenants are MGM Resorts, Caesars Entertainment, things like that. And they are on very, very long term inflation protected leases. The average lease term is over 50 years and is tied to the consumer price index. So if inflation comes back, their rent goes up accordingly. Really nice income stream, and management has done a great job of executing its growth strategy in a short time as a public company. So that's number three. Number four is Realty Income. I've talked about this one many times, so I'll keep this short. Ticker symbol is O. This was the first REIT I ever bought. I mentioned I started buying dividend stocks in my 20s. This was the first one. Realty Income has a 5.1% dividend yield right now. They are what's called a net lease REIT. It's a net lease is just a special type of lease arrangement that's common among single tenant commercial properties, um, where the tenant has to pay for building maintenance, insurance, and taxes, essentially shifting all of the variable expenses of property ownership to the tenant. Um, Great model for kind of steady growing income. The tenants sign long term leases, usually 10 years or more, have annual rent increases built right in. And this REIT has over 15,500 properties. So it's not too susceptible to any one of its tenants if they want to shut a few stores. It's not that big of a deal for Realty Income. Great business, great track record of beating the market. That's my fourth largest, or my fourth highest paying dividend stock. And number five, last but certainly not least, is Simon Property Group. Ticker symbol is SPG, and they have a 4.9% dividend yield. It was higher, but the stock went up. Simon, if you're not familiar, they're the leading owner of malls. They're a massive REIT. At one point, they were the largest real estate investment trust in the world. They have a dominant market share in the outlet industry. Anything that's called a premium outlets is a Simon property. Um, they have a lot of malls, especially high-end malls, known as the Mills is a brand name of theirs. Um, a lot of financial flexibility. They have billions and billions of dollars in cash and credit to reinvest in their properties, and they've done a great job of doing just that. Their properties have a lot of non-retail elements incorporated into them that have kind of kept them relevant, even as a lot of malls have died off. So that's why I'm a big fan of Simon. I think they have a very bright future ahead of them. Malls of the future will look a lot different than they do today, and Simon is in a great position to get them there. So those are my five highest yielding stocks. Which ones are your favorites? What other high yielding stocks should I consider? I'll do my best to respond to any questions or comments individually. And thanks for listening. I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investment. So I'm proud to partner with The Motley Fool to bring you 10 stock picks from the popular product Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market by nearly 5 times. So go to fool.com/Frankel to get your 10 stock picks now. The Motley Fool Stock Advisor returns are 767% as of July 5th, 2024, and are measured against the S&P 500 returns of 163% as of July 5th, 2024.